What's going on, guys? Asian Guy here, bringing you a video discussing the Gem Valley or the Infinite Glitch incident on the global server of One Piece Treasure Cruise. Now, this happened a while ago, almost 2 weeks ago, and it seems we are finally now getting a conclusion to what has honestly can only be described as a clown fiesta. I didn't make a video on this prior to this because there was a lot of speculation, a lot of misinformation, a lot of uncertainty going into what was happening, and I didn't really want to say anything because sometimes I say some really stupid stuff, and I might even say some stupid stuff here that maybe you agree with or you don't agree with. We'll just have to wait and see. So what happened was, for those of you who don't have context, maybe you're watching from the future, you're a new OPTC player, fingers crossed, hello. What happened was, back on New Year's Eve 2019 or New Year's Day 2020, depending on where you were in the world, there was a mail from a prior event called the 55,555,555 download special that gave you a certain amount of rewards depending on how much you've played on the game in the past. Now, this was an event that took place all the way back on the 28th of October 2019. So depending on how many runs you've done, on how many times you played on the game, up till that point, October 29th, you are eligible to claim one of these from your mail or your mailbox. I was only eligible for 3,000 times, and I'm pirate level 350-ish on global. I believe I'm pirate level 331, and this was before EXP was easy to obtain with Jack or Neptune. So 10,000 here is where you were able to get a notable item outside of the gems, because at the base level you had 15 free gems. Every single time you just refresh your mail, you were able to claim this mail over and over again. 30 gems, 50 gems, and 100 gems, depending on how many times you've played. Now, the most controversial bracket here is over 20,000 times, because this is where you get tablets, and tablets are a very premium item in the game. However, I would say the only people who are eligible for this reward, most of them, at least for the 20,000 times one, are most likely over pirate level 650. Everyone above 50,000 is probably around pirate level 800, being real here. And then there's a little bit of irony that I'll go into later on here, but that is pretty much the base of what happened. Most people are claiming this reward, 30 gems every time they refresh their mail, and also a guaranteed skill up for any unit in your box over and over and over again. Now, this went on during the New Year's sugo-fest, which had some of the best sugo-fest pulls, and I guess mixed depending on how many times you pulled, but it was a very cheap sugo-fest to pull on, which had all the 2019 legends at the time, which are like the best legends available of the year for global, the 2019 ones. Pretty good legend pool there. What happened was, a lot of people pulled on that, and they got a lot of units for essentially free, for nothing. Now, Bandai is going to be revoking basically all of that. I'm sure everyone has seen the notice now in game. If you go to your notice, click the bird on the right hand side, and then you click important in the top left corner, you'll be able to get the notice up. So with the infinite gems, people pulled lots, people got a lot of Rayleigh points. Unfortunately for those people, all of that stuff is going to be revoked. So the legends I pulled, because I abused the bug as well, will all be revoked. All the Rayleigh points I got will be revoked as well. And all the Almighty Manuals, Forbidden Tomes, and any tablets that anybody else received will also be revoked. So that is going to be what's going down in the next few days. They've also delayed the Douglas Bullet sugo-fest, although some people seem to be unhappy about that. I think it's the wise decision to make here. There's still a lot of uncertainty. I don't think people should be pulling until everything is really resolved. And on a side note, the anniversary for global is just around the corner, so do keep that in mind if you're getting tempted by the Douglas Bullet sugo-fest. Maybe a few multis here and there, but I would say save your gems up for the anniversary, because it's most likely Stampede Luffy will be on that banner as well, along with Kaido. Compensation content. Now, this is what's going to happen if you had, for example, legitimate units or legitimate items such as universal skill books or skill books for certain characters that were illegitimately obtained with the glitch gems. They will be refunded to you. So say you spent 10 universal skill books on a Sabo and Koala that you pulled with glitch gems. I wish I could pull a Sabo and Koala. I still can't. Even with glitched infinite gems, I couldn't. But Sabo and Koala aside, if you use your universal skill books, legitimate universal skill books, on your Saba and Koala, those will be refunded. So all of that kind of stuff, even dupes that were legitimate into an illegitimate character, will be refunded over time. Now, it does say here, there's going to be a period of time where you might not have that unit back, but they assure you, hopefully, at least they'll do it properly, they assure you that that will eventually get refunded. So for that, for the time being, don't worry about that if some of those seem to be missing from your box and you're expecting them back. The compensation will also be coming in waves, so some people will get their compensation earlier than others, so keep that in mind as well. Now this is where, oh boy, is where things get pretty controversial. So anyone that used rainbow gems to refill stamina during the time frame the glitch went on, they basically get to keep that. There's no punishment there. Nothing will happen. They were able to get that stamina for free. Now, this is a big deal because there was a treasure map mode that was going on during that time the glitch happened, and then it followed up with a blitz battle. So people who, I guess, if they still had the glitch gems during the blitz battle, benefited pretty much from free refills. Any rainbow gems used to expand character box space. I'm not going to lie, I'm happy about this because I took my box space all the way up from 1,000 to max, which is like 2,000 plus box space. I get to keep that. Everyone that used the box space gets to keep that as well. Though I don't think many people are too bothered about other people having box space. Rainbow gems used to unlock quests at unlockable quests. So this will be Skull Islands or any kind of islands like Zunisha ship or the Germa 66 ship. If you unlock those and you got those ships, I think you get to keep all of that as well, including the ships. Rainbow gems used to continue, so used to revive. You should never gem to revive, honestly speaking, but if you did, you get to keep those. Well, I say keep those, you've already used those, so they're not going to revoke that. And then erroneously sent absolute almighty manuals or universal skill books, forbidden tomes, and tablets that were used. So if you use any of these illegitimate items on certain units that were legitimate, those legitimate units will remain absolutely the same. So if you rainbowed your units with tablets, congratulations, because you get to keep all those rainbowed units, you get to keep all those skill ups, etc, etc. That does give a tiny advantage to some people because, as I said, you had to be most likely over pirate level 600 or 650. You're already a hardcore player at that point, and the chances are you already have all the units you wanted rainbowed out. So rainbowed out or at a point in the game where they don't really need to be powered up any much further. So I think people are blowing that part a little bit out of proportion. The people who benefited from that, I would say very, very, very minuscule. So that aside, that is still something a little bit controversial, and that's a big win for the people who are able to abuse that. Characters obtained by the following flow. So if you pulled using your glitch rainbow gems, and then you obtained a character, and then you sold that character to the Rayleigh shop, and then using those glitch Rayleigh points, you then bought, for example, a legend ticket or a limited rare recruit ticket, and then you pulled using those tickets, and you obtained a character from that, you get to keep that. You get to keep that legend. If that was new, congratulations. If that was a new limited rare recruit, again, congratulations, because you get to keep that. Now, they've written here, we understand that there may be aspects that are still a cause for dissatisfaction and concern, but we would like to ask everyone for their understanding over this matter. As a token of our apology for the maintenance and extended inconveniences this has caused, we will be sending everyone the following, and wait for it, this is huge, for the maintenance, 2 rainbow gems. So that, if I can get this piece of hair that's floating in my eyeball, alright, it's gone now, out of the way. 2 rainbow gems for the maintenance, that's absolutely massive. And for the error, 50 rainbow gems, 10 of each type of final forbidden tome, 5 of each type of tablet, 5 absolute almighty manuals, 10 million berries, which, let's be real, is not great for the vocal player base, for the hardcore player base, those on Reddit, those on Facebook, even on Facebook, yes, and those in the YouTube comment section, etc. You guys, I would say, are the more dedicated player base, but the 10 million berries, realistically speaking, is most likely for the very filthy casuals who don't really know what's going on the game. Those people that will use, you know, like strength R long with a legend unit as a sub, basically. And then on top of that, the following items will be added if applicable: up to 1 try at sugo-fest exclusives only special rare recruit, so a free legend pull; up to 1 try at special characters only special rare recruit, so a limited rare recruit pull; and up to 3 tries at special rare recruit 4-star or better guaranteed. The number of special rare recruits will vary depending on the remaining trade limit at Rayleigh's Bazaar. So what this means, I didn't understand this before, but looking at it now, I'm guessing what this means is for the people who use the glitch Rayleigh points and already pulled the free legend ticket there, already pulled the free limited rare recruit ticket here, will not be eligible for this compensation. This compensation is basically to cancel that part out for everyone that benefited from the glitch. That's why it's saying it will vary depending on the remaining trade limit at Rayleigh's Bazaar when the compensation is handed out. Now, this should be after the February refresh, while also not compensating the people that benefited using the glitch Rayleigh points, because otherwise, people who have already paid with legitimate Rayleigh points and pulled the limited rare recruit ticket and also pulled the legend ticket using legitimate Rayleigh points will not be compensated, which is a complete middle finger to the face. I really hope that's not the case. And what's happening is the people who got that stuff for free using the glitch items or glitch Rayleigh points will not be compensated for this. And the people who didn't will be able to be compensated for this. So if you're thinking of using your glitch Rayleigh points right now to do the special rare recruit, it's literally going to cancel out. There's really no point in doing it right now. The above items will be distributed after the maintenance. The token of apology will be sent individually. It may take longer for some users. The token of apology will be sent to all users who have logged into the game at least once between December 31st and January 15th, 2020. So if you want to re-roll, now's not a bad time to log into the game, get an account set up. You need to have been in the tutorial and you'll be able to get all this compensation later on that re-roll, but it's not really a re-roll because you have your units, you have your box, and you won't really be able to pick all your legends. You'll just be able to get all the freebies here. Furthermore, high server load is expected. So essentially what's going to be happening on the game is when the maintenance finishes, they're going to go down for several hours for the maintenance day. They're going to eventually let people in wave by wave. Then there's no guarantee you're going to get in immediately after the maintenance is done. So they're asking you to be a little bit patient here. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. We hope you continue to enjoy playing One Piece Treasure Cruise. Treasure Cruise. So, okay, where do we begin? Let's begin with the compensation. 2 gems for the maintenance is an absolute shocker. There is still some confusion going on whether or not this compensation stacks with the previously mentioned compensation, which is all the way down here, because the compensation is technically a little bit different, but I personally think they are going to be the same, except this new compensation has been upgraded again just a little bit. So 2 rainbow gems, 50 rainbow gems, 52 in total, 10 of each type of final forbidden tome, 5 of each type of tablet, 5 absolute almighty manuals, 10 million berries, and then those 3 basically Rayleigh shop pulls. I'm going to say this honestly, if this was compensation for like the game going down on the first day and then they would have resolved all of this after 3 days, this is a really good compensation. But it's been 2 weeks now. This is just not good enough. This is just not good enough. And the reason I say it's not good enough, 2 weeks is a long time. There was also a blitz battle going on. There was also a treasure map mode going on at the same time. These are PvP game modes. Some people have paid to do better in this game mode, and they've been screwed over by people who didn't pay a single penny and were able to stay competitive with them. How competitive they were able to remain is, left up for debate, because if you're hardcore in treasure map mode and you rank really high every single time, the chances are you probably had a similar ranking to what you had in the prior treasure map modes, and most people who aren't that hardcore, even if they have glitch units, still most likely ranked around similar areas. But at the same time, just the fact that this was a thing, that essentially glitchers were able to be competitive with pay-to-win players, that's just not acceptable in my opinion. That's just not acceptable, especially when pay-to-win players is what keeps the game going. If there's no one paying to play the game, even free-to-play players, everyone will be screwed. There's no game whatsoever without the pay-to-win players. So this, might be a little bit of a big middle finger to those pay-to-win players that did get screwed, especially in Blitz Battle. A lot of people were able to benefit, even casual players. And the rewards in Blitz Battle, the ranking is very, 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 very important. in Blitz Battle and Treasure Map mode, I feel like that's something a lot of people will just be able to accept and write off. It's still bad, don't get me wrong, it's still bad, but Treasure Map mode is not, when it comes to ranking, as big of a deal as when it comes to Blitz Battle. Depending, I guess it depends on what your box is like and what you're going for. So either one is quite severe. So yeah, either one is quite severe here. The other thing I wanted to point out, I know a lot of people aren't going to like hearing this, is that people should not be comparing this to the Japan server. The Japan server got 50 gems as a New Year's reward, or not necessarily a reward, a New Year's gift, because New Year's is a big deal in Japan. It's a cultural thing that New Year's is just a big thing, right? It's the same across all Japanese gacha games. They most likely handed out a bunch of freebies on New Year's. They should not really be comparing that. I guess some global players really should not be comparing that to Japan, because a cultural thing versus compensation is not the same thing. It should be compensation compared with compensation. Now, the biggest bug that Japan has ever had was during an anniversary. New Year's is also a big deal for the global sugo-fest, because this, let's be real, was a big sugo-fest. But people should be comparing compensation with compensation, not compensation with a New Year's gift, right? That in my opinion is just completely stupid, and people are just crying for the sake of crying at that point. Now, if we're going to compare the compensation, the biggest bug on Japan was when they were selling 100 plus rainbow gems. I believe it was like 114, either on the 3-year or the 4-year anniversary, for $1 or £1, €1, around that much, for 100 gem. The most expensive gem pack for basically the smallest price they could set. And that didn't persist for long. That was only like a 10, 15, 20 minute glitch. But everyone that abused that bug was able to keep absolutely everything. They kept literally everything. They were able to keep all those gems, anything they obtained with those gems. They paid for it after all, so that's the legal thing they have to do. They're able to keep it, and they compensated everyone on the game at that point. With 50 gems, everyone accepted it and just eventually moved on and forgot. The most likely situation here is some people are going to quit after this compensation, after this fiasco, but everyone else is still going to move on. That's the reality of the situation. I know some people don't want to hear that, but the compensation here is, of course, better than that. But the bug is way, 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 way worse this time around. Because of the PvP event, the bug is just simply way, way, way worse. And the length of time, 50 rainbow gems, is not good enough. The other thing I wanted to point out is some people are saying everyone should get a free legend of their choice. I don't think that's a very good compensation. From a business perspective, it's not very good. And at the same time, it doesn't really benefit every single player as well. Some people have all the legends they already want. That might not even necessarily be every legend in the game. For example, say they're missing only the old legends, like V1 Boa, you know, Strong World Ace, even throw in Shiki there. I don't think people will be too happy if, like, the legend pool that they can select from, if they already have all the legends they want to play with, is something like that, right? The only thing that can benefit everyone, and everyone benefits from universally, is rainbow gems. That's the only thing in the game that everyone can truly benefit from. Tablets is up there, but some people already have tons of tablets that they don't really need for the future, or some Giga Whales won't benefit from that as well. The only thing that everyone would be happy with is gems. So I would have proposed at least 150 gems. That's 3 multis. It's still the equivalent of getting a guarantee legend on a non-discounted banner as well. So I think 150 gems, and then whatever they have here listed as a bonus, would have been pretty damn good. But as it is now, you know, this is obviously not going to make everybody happy. There's obviously no solution that's going to make everyone happy. There's always going to be some people who are pissed off no matter what. They could give out 1,000 gems. Some people will still complain, right? That's, you know, you just have to write those people off. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, if they want to keep the game going, what they got to do is try not to upset the Giga Whales, or even just the whales, because there's a lot of people in uproar saying they're going to quit the game. They're going to, you know, write a bad review. And while people think that's going to have a big effect and Bandai's going to care big time, realistically speaking, it's not. It really isn't going to make too big of a difference. No matter how many free-to-play players quit, you know, if they've never spent a penny on the game, they're not directly contributing anything monetarily to the game. It's really what the stance of the whales have right now. The power is in the whales. If all the whales quit, the game is probably going to shut down. No one is going to play anymore. No one's going to pay anymore, so they can't keep the game going. They can't pay off people's wages. It's just not profitable. It's not worth the investment at that point. It's the whales that have all the power, realistically speaking. So if you are thinking of quitting and you're a free-to-play player and you're thinking of quitting just to spite Bandai, the only one really losing out is you. So I just want to make that point out there. I'm not trying to mock free-to-play players. I'm just saying that if that is your intention, because I feel like a lot of people are angry at Bandai and they wanna shun them, you're really just wasting your time at this point and just wasting your energy for really nothing at that point. But that aside, compensation, in my opinion, is not good enough. 2 PvP events, 2 massive PvP events, especially the Blitz battle. Again, they're not even addressing it, right? That's the big issue here. They're not even addressing the Blitz battle. They're not addressing the treasure map mode. If I'm not mistaken, there were some cheaters in there as well who benefited even more because they were now able to use glitch units to cheat their way, along with cheating, like hacking the game, cheating. They had the extra bonus points and were able to shoot through the rankings, which is a real big problem. And I believe on treasure map mode, first place was a cheater, which is really, really bad. They gotta do something about that. I know it's really problematic because a lot of people cheat on the game. That is a big problem. And that aside, I guess the one other thing, well, I guess there's 2 other things I want to say. One thing, again, is going to upset a lot of people, but if you're the kind of person that does cheat, or if you're the kind of person that always likes to scream GloBest and spark arguments between which server is better, global versus Japan all the time, you don't really have a place to say anything right now because you'll just end up looking like a clown. You just look like a douchebag for the sake of crying, right? And that's just one thing I want to get out of the way. That's the little bit of irony, is the people who always like to scream GloBest in my comment section are now moaning about it. You're just being a hypocrite at this point now. You're just being a hypocrite. It's not a case of global versus Japan. They're 2 different games. Content-wise, global is behind Japan by like 4 to 6 months, but that's understandable. They still get better quality of life updates to global. You have a proper dedicated global, at least representative team, because we all know, this is leading into my second point, that global, I guess not everyone knows, but global is ran by a Japanese team. And if we're being real here, the chances are, even though it's under the guise of Bandai and everybody hates Bandai, the OPTC global development team, or the team there, including artists and all of that kind of stuff there, translators, probably there's only around, I would say, 10 to 20 people working on that team. It might even be less than that, if we're honest here. It might even be less than that, so that is something to keep in mind as well. They were, I believe somewhere in the post, they do ask for their understanding, and this is the one piece of leeway I will give, is that, because I guess I'm biased as well, or I'm biased because I wasn't really effective in a negative manner because I don't play global. But if I was in the person's shoes over there in Japan, having the New Year holiday, and then this emergency maintenance or this emergency event happen, and then, you know, I'm not expecting that, and then my boss calls me and says, you got to come in right now and fix this, I would not be happy. I would not be happy at all, right? I want to go enjoy my holiday. Maybe I booked flights, maybe I booked events, spend time with my family, etc., etc. That is not something anybody wants to be in that position. I know people wanted a rollback. I myself thought the best solution would be a rollback. I'm guessing they weren't actually able to do that because there's no reason they shouldn't have done that. Other than, I guess that would have caused problems with refunds as well for people who bought gems at that time. It's just a lose-lose situation for everyone here, right? It's really just a lose-lose situation. Everyone over there working on the OPTC development team, it was just a disaster. It could not have happened at the worst time. So I guess what I'm asking for here is, do keep that in mind. If you have any sympathy remaining, I would say spare it in that direction, because no one wants to be in that position at the end of the day. It was a mistake on their behalf, but we don't know. Maybe someone sabotaged. I don't think that's the case. But although I do think it is quite funny that on these notable events, Anniversary Japan, that massive bug happened. This time around, New Year's Global, this massive bug happened. Maybe there is a spy in Bandai after all, causing havoc. But that aside, if you are in that person's position, do keep that in mind. I don't think anyone would want to be dealing with this. They should have taken the game down for maintenance until everything was fixed, but that was during treasure map mode, that was during blitz battle. People want their fix of OPTC, so lose-lose situation everywhere. The only thing I would say that they can remedy here is they gotta change the compensation. They gotta upgrade it, not even change it, just upgrade it. And yeah, my ideal compensation from a business perspective would have been 150 rainbow gems and all of that. Forgo the pools. I guess the pools would be a bonus, not that big of a deal to them, but I think 150 rainbow gems would have made most people happy. That's what I think. The other big thing that I almost forgot to mention is that while not everyone can be made happy, some people, these are just claims, I can't verify whether or not they're accurate or not, have been monumentally screwed. And by this, I mean there are claims going around that legitimate gems have been taken away. Now, this might be a misunderstanding on the player's behalf or also just a screw up on Bandai's behalf. We're not 100% certain yet. But from my understanding of what I initially read is that, for example, let's say you had 10 gems, 10 legitimate gems, and you took that up to 50 illegitimate gems. Actually, you know what? Let's say, okay, we had 10 gems, and then we have 50 illegitimate gems, and then we spent 100 gems, illegitimate gems on pools. They deducted 100 gems from your total for doing the illegitimate pools, whether or not you had legitimate or illegitimate gems, which would have been 60, and they would have taken you down to 0. Initially, they would have wanted to take you down to minus 40, but they didn't do minus gems, and they kept you at that cap. But that would only be okay if they let you keep everything you pulled with the illegitimate or glitch gems, right? And if that's not the case, I don't see why they've taken people's legitimate gems. That is pretty crazy. That's pretty bad. And I think that's a big no bueno. But what I think has actually happened, now this is where this is my speculation. I can't guarantee this is the case, but I personally think this is what's happened, is that the people who are saying their legitimate gems have been taken away. First of all, there's no way for you to actually distinguish what you had spent during the glitch period was legitimate or illegitimate gems. And what I would assume is that the gems you had before the glitch happened, those are your illegitimate gems, and they are like imagine there's a queue of, this is the cutoff point of where your gems are about to be spent, whether it's on box space, whether it's on stamina refills, whether it's on pulls. This is the cutoff point of where your legitimate gems or any gems are about to be spent. This is like content that you can purchase with gems. These are your gems, but at the front of the line are your legitimate gems, and then all your illegitimate gems come afterwards. So if you started pulling on the sugo-fest, you shoved down all of your legitimate gems into those pools. Those pools will probably remain in your box, right? So if you pulled a bunch of dupes early on that sugo-fest, well, unfortunately for you, you use your legitimate gems on that sugo-fest and you'll be keeping all of those dupes. If you got new units during that period, then congratulations, you get to keep those units with those legitimate gems. If you originally started off with your legitimate gems and then you used that on box space, then you spent legit gems on box space, right? And you get to keep that box space. If you spent it on refills, you spent legit gems on refills. Those are your legitimate gems. They're gone. They're already pushed out of the queue. And then everything else you spent with illegitimate gems will be taken away. Hopefully that makes sense. I think that's what's happened. And a lot of the claims that are coming through where people are saying their legit gems were taken, I think is just a misunderstanding that they've spent those gems legitimately. All of the stuff there they will actually get to keep, but we haven't been able to discern this because they haven't taken away the units yet. So wait and see after they take away the units. If they take away every unit that was pulled and people pulled with both legit gems and illegitimate gems, that's going to be a true disaster. That will be an absolute disaster, and that is not something that people can brush over. That is basically they're just taking money from you, or they're taking a legitimate source of in-game currency, and they've not reimbursed you in any way, shape, or form. If that's the case, that is unacceptable. But there are a lot of people screaming that the legitimate gems have been taken. I guess for the time being, you're just going to have to wait and see if all of those pulls that you've done, or if anything you've spent it on, gets revoked. And the only thing to discern it right now is pulls. Unfortunate news is that if you ended up spending on box space straight away as soon as the glitch happened, and you already had gems there, you've actually just used your legit gems on refills or box space, rather than using your illegitimate gems. Hopefully that makes sense. That was that was very, very confusing, I think, but hopefully that makes sense. I think that's really what happened, because there's no way to tell legitimate from illegitimate gems. The other iffy gray area is if you do a multi-pull. If you do a multi-pull that was a mix of your legit gems and illegitimate gems, say you did a 50 gem multi-pull and you have a mix of 25 legit gems and 25 glitch gems in there, then that's what are they going to do with that, right? Are they going to take away half the multi? Are they going to let you keep the multi? That is a gray area in itself. But that is it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope they upgrade this compensation. It's just not good enough. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful day. If you see people who are complaining about their legit gems being taken away, I guess try and explain to them what I tried to explain, is that they probably used their legitimate gems because they were at the front of the queue, and you don't get to pick and choose which gems you're using. The chances are that's how in my head it would work. The gems you had prior are the ones that get used first. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye bye.